And we're going to make sure the next generation of manufacturing takes root not in China or Europe, but right here in the United States of America. If we provide the right incentives, the right support, and if we make sure our trading partners play by the rules, we can be the ones to build everything from fuel-efficient cars to advanced biofuels to semiconductors that we sell all around the world.
Well, that is a renewed call to arms from President Obama that we saw during last week's job speech. In his first 2 years in office, the U.S. invested more than $56 billion in clean energy. That is a third of what he pledged to invest over 10 years. This is as the U.S. struggles to compete. China spent about that much last year alone. Germany also outspent us in 2010, investing $41 billion. And it shows in the price of energy. 1 unit of solar energy is significantly cheaper in China than right here in the U.S. In May of 2010, the president toured Solyndra, and last month the company became the third U.S. solar producer to declare bankruptcy in August alone. So how exactly did all of this fall apart, and what does it mean for the White House? Bloomberg's Megan Hughes has been combing through the government's account and finding that this was no run-of-the-mill bankruptcy, right, Megan?
That's exactly right, Betty. And today at a hearing, Republicans are going to be specifically focusing on that question about the White House involvement that you just mentioned. We're going to be hearing from Jeffrey Zients from the Office of Management and Budget, also Jonathan Silver, who's in charge of the Energy Department's loan program. Lawmakers want to know whether there was influence peddling and whether the White House ignored signs that this company would fail. So according to a GOP memo, these documents we've been going through, in 2009, when the agency signed off on the loan, again, the first ever in this green energy program, documents included a warning that the Solyndra technology was, quote, immature, and emails released by the Washington Post show that the White House may have rushed approval for a groundbreaking event for the press. The White House says the decision was merit-based. Then March 2010, Solyndra's auditor, PricewaterhouseCoopers, warns that the company has suffered from negative cash flows from its inception, doubting its viability. Even still, 2 months later, President Obama, as you mentioned, visited that factory in Fremont, California. Then he touted it as an example of the promise of clean energy. Energy experts we know say Chinese panels were flooding the market, bringing down prices. Then this July, according to that memo, company execs were still telling the committee it was still growing revenues. Then the company announced it was filing for bankruptcy in August. In September, it was raided by the FBI. By that time, Betty, the company had drawn $527 million from its $535 million loan tied to the stimulus program. Republican Congressman Cliff Stearns says that taxpayers are now on the hook.
The emails we're finding particularly interesting, the emails that are dealing with, they're trying to interpret the legal justification for giving the hedge funds first opt of all the money in a bankruptcy as opposed to the taxpayer who were the original investors.
The White House argues that investing in cutting-edge technologies always come with some risk, so this is not necessarily a surprise. Stearns today will say that he wants to shut down the program.
It's an incredible tale. So, Megan, when do we hear from the Solyndra CEO?
Well, it was supposed to happen today, but it was postponed. There's been a lot of back and forth with the committee. The executives from the solar company, Solyndra, we were supposed to hear from Brian Harrison and W.G. Stover, the CEO and the CFO. It's looking like that may be sometime next week. But again, a lot of tough questions. The committee says that the CEO told them that they were growing revenues at the same time they were trying to renegotiate, and then 6 weeks later declaring bankruptcy.